You ever do cocaine?
Never?
You ever?
I've never done cocaine. I've never done a drug in my entire life. My mom got so Nancy Reaganed out in the 80s. Yeah, I never have.
No weed?
No weed.
Acid?
You've never smoked weed?
I have not.
Whoa.
And I went to like my college experience. Huge shout out to the Mount Ida boys. My friends smoked 7 blunts to the face every day.
Yeah.
And you did not join them?
I promised. My mom sat me down when I was like 15 or 16 and was like, promise me you'll never do drugs. And I said, I promise. And I was locked and loaded.
Was that the only
man.
thing? Because I had it too. My mom was no motorcycles, no guns, and no tattoos, but she left the heroin out.
Got it.
And I went straight. I'm like, Ma, you fucking didn't tell me. And I went straight to it, bro.
I've never done drugs, and so I just
How often you get pretty drunk?
drunk never.
Really?
No.
I hate
So
drinking.
it's all the same game for me. I don't think I like the feeling of not knowing exactly what's going on at every second.
Oh, man.
But then how do you? But then
We are me, dude. I love you so much.
An older,
This is
more
really,
successful, less
really
Middle Eastern version of George.
This is so awesome. Watching you be so successful and have such a strong mindset of being you is so refreshing. Because people say that shit to me all the time. Like, dude, we love how you stand up for what you believe in. Even the people that don't believe in what I believe in, it's so rare.
You know what's
watch
awesome
people,
though? But what I also like is like the thought of like judging people in either way. Like is so weird to me. Like, you know, a lot of people have gotten so much healthier. Like my dad's super pissed. He's like rapping. He's not like, you know, he's like not like, it's so funny. He has a wine store, a liquor store. He's like, it seems like the cool people don't want to drink anymore. Right? Like the health trend.
Okay,
Like he
okay,
was-
okay,
you
okay.
know,
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%. And he's like, I read this
Alright.
thing. These girls, they say they drink mocktails now. I'm like, he's always like worried that like the whole, like I'm like, Dad, calm down. You're gonna retire just fine. It's gonna be fine. It's fucking alcohol.
always gonna be
but
drunk.
you know, yeah, exactly. But you know, it's interesting. Like watching the last 5 to 7 years, a lot more people are willing to say at like 7, 10, 15 person gatherings, like I don't drink, and like watching people like want them to drink. I'm like,
Oh
why?
yeah, that's fucked.
But it goes both ways. Like to me, like I actually am very happy with the conversation we're having with drugs, meaning psychedelics, mushroom. I mean, I probably, if I was to ever, I think there's so much profoundness to fungi, like just scientifically and like curiosity. I think there's a lot going on in that world. And so I just, you know, I think everything and anything and everything in moderation is right. It's always too far into extremes is where things get dangerous. But yeah, I've always been unbelievably comfortable of like, yo, this is how I roll. I know that a lot of people, especially in their teens and 20s, like that's when it was like ridiculous. That's when I knew I was set. By not succumbing to any peer pressure in high school
At
and
that
college,
age, yeah.
I was like, I'm a beast. If I really don't give a fuck now, what the fuck is going to happen later?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I didn't do any of the first time I smoked weed was 25, and I asked my parents. I sat them
awesome.
down with a joint. I was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, this is the statistics. Like, this is what I want to do." Worst decision I ever made in my life.
Why? Because they smoke weed now?
No, none of them smoke weed. The
You
battling
smoke
of
weed?
quitting is
Oh, it was hard?
I have an addictive personality. That's
Yeah.
why a lot of relatives of mine have lost their life to gambling, drinking. That's why
Yeah.
like when these guys do things, I sit them down and I go, "Yo, like, are you guys going too far with it?" Like, I can't stop myself from doing what
Yeah.
I want to do.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't give a fuck about what you guys want to do. If I want to do it and it's bad for me, I've never been caught in this situation, and it's a bitch.
I don't often get influenced by my peers in a way that like affects actual change.
Yeah.
Even like the thought of like being influenced. But I will say when we were in New York and we were talking at that table and like I'm pretty sure I was high. I was definitely like drinking like espresso martinis, my favorite drink. And then I think I asked you like, yo, Gary, do you ever have fun? Like throw a drink back? You're like, you know, not really. And you were definitely like taking it light that night. I was like, man, like I want to be as successful as Gary, but is this what it takes? Because if so, fuck that, dude.
It's definitely not. And by the way, like I'm like, to me, for like the reality is like it's all one big game of just knowing who the fuck you are
Facts.
for you.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
like there's people that are. A coach told me in a current NFL coach took a player in a draft recently, last year's draft, that he could have taken a player that they had way higher on the draft board as a much better player, and they took the other player. And I was like, that's so interesting. I was like, we were getting into deep conversations around athletes and things of that nature. I said, why? And then he said something profound. He goes, this player that went to a different team, a couple picks later, had a great year. He goes, this player on a Saturday night, the day before a game, will go out. And he'll go out to 2:30 in the morning in the club.
Oh, wow.
And you know what he's going to do on Sunday? And I'm like, what? It was like really cool. I was like shit the bed? He's like, no. He's going to go 8 catches for 137 yards
Show
and a
the fuck
touchdown.
out. Yeah.
I go, okay. He goes, the problem is that same Saturday night, he's going to bring 6 teammates with him, and those 6 guys are going to shit the bed. I'm like, the player we took is the 8th player in that story, and he's going to stop the other 6 from going out.
Whoa.
Whoa. He's playing chess.
And so to me, I just thought that was really interesting. And the reason I bring that up is that one kid that he was talking to, he can go party and fucking be productive, right? This is just about knowing yourself.
Yeah.
Everybody who's watching and listening right now, this is one big fucking game of being super dope with yourself, for yourself. And if the people around you don't fuck with that, fuck them.